As the young United States began to pull itself out of post-revolutionary times, a remarkable expansion was occurring in more than simply landmass. Religious, social, and commercial expansion was also occurring all over the nation. Simply put, the country had changed a lot since the Founding Fathers first developed the Constitution. The different regions, the South, North, and West, were similar in the sense that they all contained states instead of territories or colonies, and they were now a part of a greater United States of America. Their differences, however, were much more significant. The North, for example, was the only region to have large cities such as New York, Boston, and Philadelphia. These cities had become vital production and trade centers with factories and mills, and the population density of these growing metropolises was immense. Many social reforms also started in the North. A major reform movement that was conceived in the North was the women's movement. We can look at the meeting at Seneca as proof of this. At the Seneca Falls Convention in Seneca, New York in 1848, over 300 male and female feminists gathered. It was there that the Declaration of Rights and Sentiments was written. It was based on the Declaration of Independence, but instead of listing grievances to the King of England, it asked for a fairer treatment of women. Most of these women were also part of the abolitionist movement, which brings us to the South. The South was more rural and mostly farmland. While the North was fueled by machines, the South was fueled by humans, slaves. Slave labor was the backbone of the South during the antebellum period. While only a few white families owned slaves, the concentration of slavery throughout the central Southeast was unlike any other area in the United States. Slavery not only accounted for production and cultivation of cash crops such as cotton, but the domestic slave trade made the slaves themselves an entity. This is how New Orleans was able to prosper. The largest slave auction in the world was located there. But the founders also believed in slave labor. The Constitution does not include slaves as people or citizens. Still, slavery was a huge part of most of the Founding Fathers' lives, in that they owned them themselves and relied on them for personal economic development. Finally, the newly found West fulfilled the dreams of those who embraced the idea of manifest destiny, that being the God-given right to the lands of her great nation, the United States of America. The economy in the West was driven by mineral wealth. The California gold rush in 1849 was a mass exodus of settlers, foreign and domestic, looking for instant riches. This, however, proved to be not the case when miners found that obtaining gold was a very challenging task. However, due to the flocking of people, California's population grew immensely. But a large immigrant population, especially those from China and Hong Kong, angered American miners. Just as the founders placed taxes on British and foreign goods, California passed a tax on foreign miners, or people. Even as all three regions have their commonalities with the original ideas of the Founding Fathers, the region most aligned with their vision for the future would undoubtedly have to be the West. The West was the epitome of expansion and a growing United States. Also, they would have never foreseen a movement to increase the legitimacy of women in the North as well as slaves in the South. Therefore, the new and beautiful West would line up well with their vision for America.